because McCline was in several of Lennox Lewis's training camps, the star sparring partner, a big man going in against the very big Lennox Lewis. And you actually trained Shannon Briggs for a fight earlier in his career. What kind of fight are we going to see? Is it, as some suspect, a possible walkover for McCline?
Well, first of all, McCline is the guy that's right now on the move. The momentum is with McCline, and he's coming off of 3 very impressive wins. But Shannon Briggs, according to Lennox, said he's so dangerous still early because Shannon has very good upper body movement for a big guy, very loose and elusive. And even though they both have started out fast in their last fights, Shannon, I still think, has a puncher's edge. I think he has more punching power than McCline. But going down the stretch, if McCline hasn't been hurt real seriously and doesn't get knocked out early, the solid fundamentals that he has and his determination, I think, and focus will be a big factor. And I think he should win the fight if it goes beyond that. But for the first part of the fight, it's going to be very, very explosive because both guys are right now fighting very fast fights in all of their last fights, and they're both going for the knockout.
Shannon Briggs hurt Lennox Lewis in both of the first 2 rounds of their fight before Lewis caught up to him and wound up knocking him out in the 5th round. And Larry Merchant, McCline is right in the same line with various other American heavyweight prospects who have come in recent years from other sports, athletic backgrounds in football and basketball. In fact, it's a trait he shares in common with the 2 guys he beat to get to his present pedestal in the heavyweight division, Michael Grant and Lance Whitaker, now known as Goofy. Is McCline the one who can carry the American banner much further along than have Grant and Whitaker and others like them?
Well, we should be cautious, if not downright skeptical, by this time. But with heavyweights, it's sort of like getting kicked in the head by love and just coming back for more. Against Grant, he was told to go out there and take it right to him. First punch of the fight, he knocks him out. Against Whitaker, he was told throw combinations and moves. He did that, dominated the fight. So right now, he's sort of like the sexy newcomer who, despite all of what you've seen in the past, you just feel this won't be a disaster this time. It's a triumph of hope over experience.
And we'll see if it continues tonight. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the tail of the tape and skip the numbers at the top. Welcome to the 21st century in the heavyweight division. Feast your eyes on the numbers at the bottom. Eat your heart out, Primo Carnera. You were way before your time. McCline, 264 1/4, all muscle, all athlete. Briggs, who spent much of his career in the high 220s, choosing to come all the way up to 268 1/4 for this fight. Wait till you see him walk into the ring. They're both past the age of 30, but still relatively young for top contenders in the heavyweight division, where Lennox Lewis is 35 and Mike Tyson around the same number. Height, McCline 2 inches taller at 6'6". Reach, McCline with a 1.5 inch advantage again. It's the largest aggregate weight for any major heavyweight championship fight we've ever covered. Bigger than Lennox Lewis and Michael Grant together. They added to 497 pounds. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Jameel McCline-Shannon Briggs fight is scheduled for 10 rounds using the rules of the New York State Athletic Commission. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The doctor or the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 5 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
And I said major heavyweight fight, not championship fight, just heavyweights of significance. And in this instance, certainly McCline is, if he keeps winning. The weight progression throughout Shannon Briggs' career.
Well, Jim, some people believe that Briggs stepped on the scale wearing heavy boots, plus other clothing, perhaps had a few lead pipes in his pockets, trying to indicate to his opponent that he really isn't in shape, trying to magnify the fact that he is much bigger than he's ever been before, as some kind of tactic, strategy, etc. We'll see whether he needs a D or an E cup when he takes off his robe.
Brownsville, Brooklyn, Shannon Briggs. Used to train with the noted physical trainer Radu here in Manhattan, often with Cindy Crawford in the same room. Famous for his acquaintances with fashion models and pop stars. And a closer look at Shannon Briggs.
He was a big, talented, and very hyped heavyweight coming from New York and coming from the same neighborhood that produced Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe. But he has gained a reputation as a lazy heavyweight, a heavyweight who didn't particularly love to train, a reputation that is not enhanced by the fact that he's become such a big heavyweight.
For his part, Briggs says, hey, I had to get big because I'm fighting a guy who's 264 pounds, and I think it'll be to my advantage to be able to face up to him. And here comes Jameel. Those first 5 fights took place after Jameel exited from a 5-year stint in prison for gun running. Says he made a big mistake shortly after high school. He even spent 13 months in solitary confinement. But he read, he learned a lot, and he's been a student in boxing gyms ever since. He was a tight end and a power forward in high school, played a little basketball in his brief experience with college before he went to the big house. Talk about role reversal. The former gun-running Khan is now married to the school teacher daughter of a narcotics cop. Here's another closer look.
He is a fellow who has learned from doing. He had exactly 1 amateur fight, but he was a sparring partner for Lennox Lewis, Larry Holmes, Ray Mercer, Tim Witherspoon, and other named heavyweights. Now he calls himself a Y2K fighter, a 21st century fighter using new kinds of conditioning methods. A big, fast man, the likes of which we haven't often seen. In fact, he has 6 different trainers, not only a boxing trainer, but a swimming trainer, a running trainer, a yoga trainer, trainers you can't even imagine, because he feels he needs to improve his stamina, the one thing that a big man has to be concerned about.
6 trainers, and he wraps his own hands. Go figure. Let's go into the ring for Michael Buffer and the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cedric Kushner Promotions presents the main event of the evening, 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Brought to you in association with the King of Beers, Budweiser, and the brand name of boxing, Everlast, and sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission, Chairman Ray Kelly. The 3 judges assigned to ringside for this bout will be Tommy Kazmarek, Julie Letterman, and Steve Weisfeld. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Mike Ortega. And now, with dedication to the victims and heroes of 9/11 from Madison Square Garden, New York City, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with white, he stands 6'4", and his official weight, 268 1/4 pounds. He has a professional record of 36 victories in 40 bouts, including 30 knockouts with 3 defeats and 1 even, and he has held the linear heavyweight world title. From Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York, the former linear world heavyweight champion, Shannon Briggs. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing orange, trimmed with white, and standing 6'6". Officially, he weighs 264 1/4 pounds. His professional record stands at 32 bouts, 27 victories, including 16 knockouts with 2 defeats and 3 even. And he's undefeated for 6 years and is rated among all polls and organizations as one of the top heavyweights in the world today. From Port Jefferson, New York, here is Jameel Big Time McCline.
You know I was coming to bring that shit.
Quiet.
Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. Want a good, clean fight? Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Okay, your trunks are very high right here. Okay, from here up is good. Here up is good. I'll be watching low blows, okay? Touch him up, good luck.
Does McCline have the right stuff? Does Briggs have any stuff left?
So you listened to Michael Buffer's pre-fight introduction, and you're wondering, when was it that Shannon Briggs held the, quote, linear heavyweight championship of the world, unquote?
Well, supposedly because George Foreman had not been defeated in the ring, if you recall, and he got a terrible decision against George Foreman. He regards that as a linear heavyweight champion.
That was in November of 1997. Foreman, as Larry points out, had not lost since taking titles from Michael Moore, but had been stripped of the titles for refusing to fight mandatories and for failing to grant a rematch to Axel Schultz. So it's all highly technical, but that's how the story goes. Trying to land early, as he did in his moments of glory against Lennox Lewis, rounds 1 and 2. McCline said that he expected Briggs to come out and try to create thunder in the first round.
You know, Briggs had a good amateur career, too. He got not only to fight a lot of good fights locally here in New York, nationally, but even fought internationally. And without a hand injury, he would have probably been on the Olympic team for 1992, I think. So, you know, you can't discount that experience. And in a lot of spots, you'll see McCline's inexperience show. But he's still such a solid fighter and in such great condition and great mental strength.
Suppose Briggs catches McCline with something big, as he just did there with the left hook. What kind of a chin does Jameel have?
Jameel has a good chin. This is what I was saying earlier, that, you know, the first few rounds are the very dangerous rounds for McCline. I think the longer the fight goes on, the better to be, but all the tricks and the savvy that Briggs has picked up as an amateur, he's going to try to utilize to try to catch McCline early.
McCline flashed a surprisingly quick and effective jab in his earlier win this year over Lance Whitaker.
They both got good hand speed, but probably Shannon has a faster hands, extremely fast hands for a big man.
Not behind.
I said earlier this year, it was actually in December of last year.
But Briggs does look pretty good right now. He's patient, not as impatient as he used to be as a fighter, not as fat as we might have expected him to be at the weight he came in at. No. And he's doing a very good job here.
No, this 268, if in fact 268 it is weightlifting type muscle.
It's right. It's picked up. Well, he picked up the weight by actually probably lifting weights. It's not fat. And he seems to be handling pretty good. You know, heavyweights get older, they pick up weight anyway. He's a big man.
McCline keeping his distance in round 1. Perhaps content to allow Briggs's energy to dissipate. Shannon's last 4 appearances were first-round knockouts against nondescript opposition.
Step back. 5 seconds. Time. Good job, gentlemen. Good job.
Son. Good round. Good round. But you got to stick the jab a little stiffer and keep it out. You can't pull back with the jab. You got to let it go. Second right round, coming up. He's trying to stick you with the right hand, right? You're not going to let him do that. You understand? You're going to keep him off balance with your jab. You understand? Hear me? One up, one down. One up, one down. All right, one up, one down. Everything's going to fall right in place. He's backing up. He can't fight backing up. You just got to keep on using the scale. Touch him, touch him, touch him. Start touching him, the right hand will drop right on him. He's throwing a lazy jab, count him with the right hand, but give me 2 or 3 punches in bunches. You can't throw one punch. Okay, he's backing up. There's your key. One down, one down. All right? It's your night. What about when you try to come in? Okay, when you try to come in, step back and throw a right hand up.
CompuBox numbers in round 1. Power punches. Briggs landed 6 of 15. McCline stuck with the jab for 23 out of 25 punches, only threw 2 power punches in the whole round. So McCline very cautious in round 1. Now Briggs sticks the jab in McCline's face.
McCline is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more assertive. I think the strategy was okay for the first round, but it's going to mentally seem like Briggs is having a little bit more of an intimidating factor in him. And I think he's going to have to change that by picking up with more jabs. You don't have to throw big punches, but just a much more authoritative jab.
Step back, step. I'm out, step back.
You gotta like Briggs's classic Everlast black and white trunks. McCline with the flashier orange tee has the name of his 5-year-old daughter Rana on the back of the trunks. And the Star of David on the left leg in honor of his manager Alan Wartsky. Right hand lands for McCline. Briggs countering.
Briggs is trying to set up a lot of tricks, doing a lot of different things, particularly knowing that McCline doesn't have all of that experience. But I think McCline is very much concerned about watching for his right hand. And if he watches for Briggs' right hand, he can put a little more pressure on Briggs. He'll be doing a lot better job than just sitting back waiting. Because sooner or later, Briggs may find a way to get through because he's got tremendous hand speed for a big man.
McCline is treating Briggs with about 10 times the respect with which he treated Lance Whitaker in his previous fight in December. Obviously, he sees Briggs as a much bigger puncher than Whitaker.
I think also that Whitaker just came out and was very basic and straightforward. We can see that Shannon is a much more thinking and intelligent fighter, so he has to think a little bit more than not just be physical. So a lot of mental pressure and tension up there on a kid who hasn't had many fights. When you're fighting a guy like Shannon, who's got a lot of good shoulder movements, body movements, rolling the shoulders, fighting them, head movements.
Now McCline begins to let his hands go a little more freely, still focusing mostly on the jab. Tuesday night, catch the latest installment of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel and see our investigative report on how easily illegal steroids enter the United States across our Mexican border. Thursday, don't miss On the Record with Bob Costas and catch Bob's interviews with Don King and Bernie Mac. World Championship Boxing returns on May 11, and so does Felix Trinidad. Trinidad making his comeback to the ring after losing last September against Bernard Hopkins. And 1 week later, on May 18, Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward lock up in what should be an out-and-out brawl between two of the grittiest fighters in the sport. HBO, the heart and soul of boxing.
The right hand will land. Throw a hook when he steps towards your hook side. All right?
Good job. Come on.
He's not in your league. Just fight him.
Round 3 of a scheduled 10.
Let him out, let him out, let him out. Let's go.
Two guys who weigh about 1.5 tons, and we've got a jabbing contest.
Going to be a jabbing contest. It'll be interesting to see how long Briggs stays with it.
Blood from Briggs's nose.
McCline proved in the Whitaker fight that he can go the distance. 12 rounds on that night. This is only scheduled for 10.
Got a tremendous pace, too, for big men.
Briggs has had some stamina problems in the past. Shannon reaching with the right hand.
Step back.
And grinning at the ringside crowd. Briggs has been bothered in the past by asthma, but claims that he has solved that problem through diet. Got rid of dairy foods, feels better.
That's why McCline is a little reluctant to punch, because he knows that Shannon is setting back to counterpunch him. But he's going to have to step up the pace, take a risk. He's going to have to take it to Shannon and make Shannon fight at a faster pace that he's doing. He's letting Shannon pot spotted and then rest in between. And that's a good fight for Shannon. But if McCline steps it up, makes him have to fight a little bit more, jabbing very high where he makes sure he won't get hit with the right hand, so he's about jabbing at the forehead of Shannon, the fight will change a lot drastically in the next few rounds.
Bottom line, there's a step up available to McCline, but he's going to have to be more courageous to get there.
He's going to have to step up and take a change.
Get him out. Hit him behind the head. Okay? Clean.
And there's a perfect example.
That's right. Yep.
Briggs countering McCline's jab with a right hand over the top.
McCline, to neutralize that, should start double jabbing a lot and jabbing high. Should be jabbing not at Shannon Briggs' mouth, but those should be jabbing at Shannon's eyes. Jabbing at that level, he can avoid a lot of those right hand counters.
And when you say double jabbing, not jab, jab, no beat in between. Jab, jab.
Yeah,
like
jab, jab, right in a row. Never bringing the left hand all the way back, keeping it extended.
I'm telling you, you're working good, but you got to step the jab once. So once you're low, you can dig 2 punches to the body. You're always in a position. I don't want you to pull up in front of this guy.
Jimmy, you got to get close on.
Okay, I don't know. I'll get him on the next round.
You got to get him on now.
Watch this mouthpiece.
Same thing with you. Where you place? You're getting him.
Come on, double and triple your bad, you back him up with it. If you triple and double your jab, he's going backwards. One, go back, then throw your right hand.
That's it.
Okay? Jab, 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 right hand. Use the scale up and down. Okay?
That is what we call a check left hook right there, and Shannon Briggs has a hand speed to do that all night long. Very good hand speed for a big man.
But he's backing up while he does it, so there's no authority in the punch. They're still in a state of standing 5 feet apart and trying to pop each other with just touching punches.
You're absolutely right. And I think both corners right now realize that there should be an urgency factor setting in, and you're going to see a lot faster tempo, I think, in the next couple of rounds.
And Harold, assuming you're not getting gun shy about your scoring at this point, how do you have it through the first 3?
Jim never get gun shy. Okay, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, Shannon Briggs. You know, Jim, in the first 2 rounds, Shannon Briggs backed him up, walked him down. You know, say anything you want, he was the aggressor. But in the last minute of round 2, Jameel McCline, I think, started to realize that Shannon Briggs keeps his hands below his waist. I mean, he drops that left hand just like he's dropping it now. In round 3, Jameel McCline, I think, landed another hard left jabs. There's a nice right hand to win round 3. So 2-1, Briggs.
I have it 2-1 McCline. Although Briggs is obviously winning the round right now.
Yep.
But maybe, Harold, you and I disagree on the fight. One of us will get it right this time.
Now there's McCline's best right hand of the fight as he stepped into the punch instead of staying out at range. And when Shannon drops his left hand like that, why doesn't McCline try right hand lead, Emmanuel?
Because Shannon has such good upper body movement, and then McCline can sense it. Even before he punches, he can sense that Shannon's going to shoulder roll most of the punches. But he's going to have to step it up and take a risk, because trying to fight a technical fight, that's Shannon's area, because Shannon is more skillful and more experienced. He's going to have to take a gamble and step up the pace a lot more. But that would be better for McCline.
Now Briggs talking to McCline in the ring. Perhaps trying to psych the less experienced man out.
Keep in mind that Briggs has faded in the late rounds of any of his long recent fights.
But, you know, if he's still dictating the pace, which is what he's doing, he's not going to fake that much. Right now, McCline has not put any pressure on him.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's dictating the pace. He's getting hit more punches while he's dictating the pace.
Now McCline begins to jab to the body. That's a good idea, too. It will encourage Briggs to bring those hands down even lower. Hard left hook by Briggs. Missing with the right hand. And here's the double jab you were looking for.
Yes, and also the shoulder roll of Briggs. He's very, very gifted for a big man who's able to twist and pivot his body.
Right, come out, step back.
Klein seemingly gaining confidence now as the fourth round progresses. Briggs still with energy, though.
Because McCline is not draining him. He's going to have to make him fight more.
Sit down, baby. It's a good round. Huh? It was a good round for us. But give him the bucket, baby. Give me the water. You must step to him with your jab. You understand? You're in charge of that jab. You understand? Punch him back with that jab. And once in a while, when you
Jab is on point. Beautiful. You got to throw the 3-2. You got to let them hands go. 3-2. Okay, 4-2, 3-2. All right? Just touch him. Nothing else but just touch him. Coast right through him. Touch.
Deep breath.
Give me 3 or 4 jabs right now. Just stop. Do that for me, okay? Can you do that? Okay, give me 3 or 4 jabs. Touch them. Tat. That's it. Tat.
dig in there, try to hurt him.
Check this out. Let's go.
But you got to set it up, son.
CompuBox numbers through round 4 on the jab. McCline 32 out of 111. Briggs 10 out of 74. And you heard Milton Lacroix, who is Shannon Briggs' trainer, asking for a series of jabs at the start. Shannon trying to accommodate it. Jabbing contest underway again. You heard Jimmy Glenn telling McCline, step to him with the jab. Be the boss.
He's going to have to, because nobody's established a really dominant lead yet at this stage.
Now McCline begins to do exactly what Jimmy Glenn was looking for.
Well, Shannon is right now he's fighting more of a counter punch and a pickus punch, and he's got so much savvy and hand speed that he's very much in the fight. You make him have to fight at a steady, fast pace. He's not going to be able to punch that hard because he's going to have to be punching faster than he wants to and more often. And Jameel is going to have to do that and take the risk. He's trying to play it too safe.
Break. Step back.
That's what he's going to have to keep doing. Even if it's not as effective, that's still 260 pounds banging into another man's body. And just that charge alone will start draining Shannon.
Break. Step back. Let him out. Break. Step.
McCline tapping with the jab and paying the price.
Well, you can see Briggs is setting there, timing the jab and getting set, and he's doing the wrong thing. He should be double jabbing and keeping his left hand up, because if you notice, that's the only thing that Briggs is focusing on there is his right hand. Briggs is not throwing hooks to the body. He's not really throwing hooks to the head. He's just mainly concentrating on trying to time McCline and land on the right hand. That's all. And McCline should neutralize that by jabbing up high and putting more pressure on him.
Now, between rounds, Briggs' trainer asked him to throw a 3-2. A 3-2 is a beer in Utah, but obviously here it's a combination of some sort. You got any idea what a 3-2 combination might be?
No, but he's not doing it. He's only throwing one punch.
I think you're right.
Legs out.
If you were with us for the first fight on our telecast, you saw the outcome, which found a majority decision for Johnny Tapia in his featherweight bout against Manuel Medina. Tapia winning a featherweight title belt as the result of the scores you see there. 115, 113, 115, 113, and one even card. Tapia the winner. Our Harold Letterman scored the fight for Medina. Second week in a row that ringside judges have seen it differently than was the case for us. So we polled 11 prominent boxing writers at ringside, 11 of the recognizable faces in the boxing journalism crowd, to ask them for their opinion. 7 scored the fight for Medina, 3 scored it for Johnny Tapia, 1 scored it a draw. Those numbers pretty much in line with the difference of opinion that accompanied Floyd Mayweather's unanimous decision win over Jose Luis Castillo last week in Vegas. Most ringside observers had it for Castillo.
I thought it was a worse decision than last week.
Which I presume is saying something.
Not an easy task.
Nevertheless, Medina has the 12th loss of his career, and Tapia has a featherweight title belt and a bargaining position from which to pursue bigger fights in the featherweight division. Meanwhile, we come back to the 6th round of a scheduled 10 between Jameel McCline and Shannon Briggs, and they're into the second half of the fight without either fighter having really taken over the momentum so far. Briggs pot-shotting with the right hand. Arm punch. Didn't have a lot of weight behind it. McCline one jab at a time and backing away rather than going forward behind it.
He should be stepping at 260 pounds forward. There we go.
A huge right hand.
Yeah.
And there's the classic combo, coming back with the left hook behind the right cross.
Most dangerous punch in boxing is a clean-up hook behind the right hand. You never see it the way your body's positioned. But I think a part of it, too, I think Shannon was off balance when he was rolling back.
That left hand came back behind the right hand so fast you can hardly see it.
But once again, McCline is still letting Shannon do the aggression and the intimidation and setting the tempo.
And McCline, who used to worry about his stamina and proved himself in the Whitaker fight where he went 12 rounds, says he's now working on improving his stamina to the point where he can finish an opponent in the second half of the fight and get a knockout. So surely that's what he's thinking of now. Defining moment of the fight so far, the perfect 1-2-3 combination by McCline here in round 6, which knocked Briggs onto the canvas.
No steam in that right hand, Emmanuel.
No, he's lost his steam, but that's the only thing that he's facing.
There's a big left hook that stunned McCline as the round came to a close.
McCline is set back waiting too much and permitting Briggs to be dangerous.
Deep breath. Legs out, legs out. Okay. So that last punch you threw, it hurt him. It hurt him. All right? That punch hurt him. How you feel? Okay, don't worry about it. Let's take it to him. The hook works. You got to
Take a deep breath. Breathe in. Don't get careless out there. It ain't over yet. It's only over when you're looking the guy looking up at you.
There it is, right hand, bang, with the left hand. So many times we see fighters throw one punch and hope that that's enough damage. It's the next punch that Briggs didn't see
I think a lot of it was balanced too. As I saw he was making the shoulder rolls, which he normally does, and I think he, with that extra weight moving into him, he lost his balance a lot in addition to being grazed by a punch. But nevertheless, that's a 10-8 round, providing that McCline won it.
That's the sort of thing that, you know, makes Mike Tyson so dangerous, that he comes back with the second punch.
Mike is very dangerous, particularly when he gets in close. He takes full advantage of those short arms of his.
In the last 2 rounds, McCline with a 32-9 edge in power punch connects. Harold, how do you have it scored through 6?
Okay, Jim, 4 rounds to 2, 58-55. Jameel, big time McCline. You know, Jim, I tell you, you see a lot of guys like Shannon Briggs with those big arms, big shoulders, and by round 5, they just can't pick their arms up. Shannon Briggs, by dropping his hands like that, and no respect to the great Thomas Hearns who kept his hands low, you just leave yourself wide open for a good shot. And that's exactly what happened in round 6.
Another good combination by McCline. If he'd had a little more steam on that right uppercut that finished it, might have done more damage.
But even though he's landing the punches, he's still letting Briggs to some degree like intimidating and set the tempo.
Because he's not committing to the punches in the same way that he did against Lance Whitaker.
Yeah, and after he lands a punch, he still goes back into a reactionary move, waiting to see what Shannon is going to do.
And backs up.
Yeah, instead of taking initiative and being consistently aggressive.
How different is McCline, Emmanuel, than when you saw him sparring all those rounds with Emmanuel Stewart?
He's an improved fighter. He's a much improved fighter. Now that he's become like a star himself, even his whole aura about him is so much more confident. Got 6 trainers, which I mean, I sometimes question. He says he's trying to follow Lennox's pattern, but Lennox may have a couple of guys, but 6 trainers. The problem with that, you get so concerned about what you're doing with each one of those guys. Well, you know, I forgot I didn't do my yoga today, and I didn't listen. You get preoccupied with the counts and all, and it takes your focus off of boxing.
His feeling is that you can improve yourself as an athlete and as a boxer at the same time. We'll see if the theory works as he moves up to a better class of competition.
Yes, boxing is basically boxing. You're in good shape and you get your mind totally focused on the boxing. That's the best.
Hard right hand by McCline. Briggs just stepping into it with his hands down.
Yes. McCline is not really a devastating punch. He doesn't turn his body weight all the time, too. Briggs is still a better puncher between the two.
Now, sometimes McCline punches at the target rather than through it.
That's correct.
Which is what happens when a fighter's instinct is to go backward rather than forward.
Bring it up. Come on, baby.
Come on, baby, get it close. No, not yet. Not yet.
No,
Come on. Not yet. Dry him off. Wet the mouthpiece.
8th round.
Yeah. Jameel, listen, Jameel. You see what the combination you're throwing? You got to get them a little often. That's the way we worked in the gym, son. That's right. Get them off.
Baby, okay. Use the jab. The knockdown wasn't even really a knockdown.
No, it was slip.
Baby, use the jab. Let's go. Put the right hand over the top. You gotta use that jab.
Here are those fast hands we've remarked on in the past.
Yes.
From a big 260-pound man.
Great punches. All of those punches was a perfect example of good, solid body punches, but nevertheless, he still doesn't turn his body completely through.
Both fighters breathing through their mouths. They can suck the air out of this room and a few others, as big as they are.
Shannon Briggs' activity level slowing down. Briggs averaging only 29 punches per round, and his punch count dropping as the rounds go by. That gives McCline plenty of time and opportunity to do what he wants to do. But now Briggs defies those numbers, coming back with a combination of his own.
You know, the fights that Briggs did lose, it never lost because of him having a weak chin. And all of his losses because of just fatigue. He ran out of gas. Even with Lennox Lewis, you know, he took a lot of good punches, got up about 3 times, but he wasn't in the best of condition. and that's where he's lost most of his fights.
We
So
remind
his chin
you,
is a good chin, in other words.
we remind you again, it's a 10-round fight, not a 12-round fight.
Yes.
So 2 rounds to go after this one.
And that's why McCline should step it up.
Briggs is trying to talk McCline down.
He's doing it.
McCline, a guy who spent 5 years in prison. You didn't think he heard some talk while he was there?
Not when he was in solitary. 13 months in solitary, he didn't hear a doggone thing.
You know, Briggs is like the veteran KGO fighter. He's tired, but he's jabbing his way through the fight through intimidation, trickery, and actually McCline is falling for him.
Sneaky right hand by McCline, and Briggs wide open for the left hook lead.
If McCline will keep doing that with continuity, he has something going for himself.
McCline landing the right hand again. Harold's point. Briggs' hands too low. Briggs arm punching with the right hand.
Hey, that was a little low. Keep it up.
After getting away with a low blow, Ortega mentions it to Briggs.
You know, McCline, for a fighter who's had, rather limited experience overall, shows terrific poise and confidence in himself.
Yeah, he's learning to fight. It's actually, he's learning to fight through his training camp experience, and through these fights here, he's actually learning to become a professional prize fighter.
And give Jimmy Glenn credit. McCline's technique holds up over the course of the fight because he believes in his technique. He believes in what he's been taught.
Well, he's got a complete package. He's got a very good turn, I think, and intelligent managers, and Jimmy Glenn has got one of the true veterans of the game. This seems to be maybe Jimmy's masterpiece. I spoke to him.
Well, every trainer prays for a chance to win a heavyweight championship. You get a guy 6'6", 260, and you go, wow.
And you know, he can be around for a while in this era of the big heavyweights.
I'm going to spend some time with this guy. We might make $1 or $2. That's what Jimmy has in mind.
All right? Every time you throw a jab, you throw a goddamn hook because he's going to catch him with it. But you got to throw him. You need a knockout to win this fight. You need a knockout. I don't understand, baby, but you need a knockout. I'm just giving you the real deal. Okay? The real deal is you got to knock him out to win. Okay? You've been giving him all around.
Deep breath.
Okay? I understand what the situation is, but you got to
Deep
work.
breath,
You got to work him.
You gotta want it, man.
You got to want it. You got to want it more than he does.
You can put 6 punches together.
Come on, baby. It's almost finished.
Everybody wants you to win. Feel that? Everybody wants you to win.
Come on, Bobby. Let's go.
We almost there, baby.
All right, this is the
Second round. Let's go.
When Milton LaCroix told Briggs he's got to score a knockout to win, Briggs looked as though, I don't want to have that information.
Yeah, but that's reality, though.
And you saw the numbers. Shannon's punch output dropping throughout the fight. McCline's, in general, rising in round 8. McCline threw 43 punches to only 19 for Briggs. So that's why LaCroix said, you need a knockout. You ain't winning any decision tonight.
Based on the way these decisions have been announced,
Yeah, who knows?
who knows? Even with the knockdown, still scored against him.
McCline clearly feels he can jab his way to victory from here, and that maybe the jab will set up another chance for a power combination.
The jab is effective, but he needs to be moving in more behind that with some more power punches after the jab.
McCline's real hero is Lennox Lewis. He sparred with virtually every top heavyweight in the present era, except for Tyson and Holyfield. He sparred the most with Lennox. And he said Lewis, the best of all the fighters he's been in with, was the one who spent the most time offering him advice and telling him things that would help him to get better. He's grateful for it. His wildest dream would be to get a chance to fight Lennox for his titles because he says he respects Lewis more than any other heavyweight.
That's very nice.
He thinks you're pretty good too, man.
We feel the same way about McCline.
Briggs still with a little power in the jab there. Just doesn't use his hands enough.
I noticed that he stopped the conversation.
Theater at Madison Square Garden. Shannon Briggs grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, has lived in Manhattan for much of the last decade. Jameel McCline from Port Jefferson on Long Island now lives across the river in New Jersey. One round to go.
All right. Talk to me, son. How you feel?
I feel good, Coach.
All right, baby. All right, so let's put 3 or 4 punches together. This is the last round, so let's don't get careless, but let's keep putting 3 and 4 punches together and hands up. You hear me? Keep your hands.
This is it. This is the last round. You hear me? Jump on it from start to finish. No matter what you're feeling, you're going to feel worse if you don't do it. If you don't throw the punches and you don't try, you're going to feel worse. No matter what you're feeling.
You want to be a champion, Shannon, you got to do it.
Hear me?
All right, please. Yeah, Coach.
All right.
Suck it up. Okay, Coach.
You're all right, baby. Keep this left hand in the center. And make your little steps. See how you make your little steps and got the right hand on?
Now or never. Do not stop.
You want to be a champion,
Jump on him, Shannon. All right? This is for your kid.
This is round 10, the final round.
Go fight, Daddy. You're doing your thing.
Shannon Briggs said to Jameel McCline as they came out, good fight. Trying to lull him a little bit, huh, Emmanuel?
That's what I think. It's still interesting that even though McCline is winning the fight officially, he still has never seemed to have his total confidence. And you know, when a lot of punches that you think Shannon gets hit with, he rolls his shoulders and it doesn't get hurt and take the full effect of the punches as it appears.
Harold, how do you have it coming to the 10th?
Okay, Jim, 87-83, 6 rounds to 3, Jameel, big time McCline. Jim, I'll tell you, in the 9th round, Jameel McCline really sewed this fight up with some of the best right hands of the entire fight. I mean, he just nailed Shannon. Shannon didn't do a darn thing. Interesting enough, Jim, if you like the referee, Mike Ortega, he's the son of Gaspar Indian Ortega, one of the great welterweights during the Emil Griffith era.
McCline pacing himself throughout. Probably saved some extra energy for here in round 10, but continues to fight with relative caution. Briggs not exactly unloading the kitchen with all the weapons he might have used to try to get McCline out of there.
McCline is still very leery. Very leery.
There's the 3 or 4 punch combination that Jimmy Glenn was asking for.
You know, all that training, Emmanuel, has been designed to help McCline's stamina, and whatever it is, it's working, because he is as busy now as he was in the first round, or busier. He doesn't seem to have slowed down at all.
I've never had any questions of his stamina. After that last fight that he fought with Lance Whitaker, I mean, the torrid and furious pace that those two guys fought at, I would never question his stamina anymore as long as he gets in shape.
He's dominating now against a Briggs who just doesn't have many punches left to throw. So barring another dramatic reversal of our expectations regarding the scorecards, it looks as though Jameel McCline is headed for another big-time win. But who knows? Now this time I think we got it right.
Yeah, Shannon's upper body movement is tremendously slowed down now, just about to a standstill.
And Jameel is boxing comfortably down the stretch. Jab, jab, right hand, left hook. Good stuff for a guy with a lot of desire who hopes to keep going up from here.
A good educated fight from McCline. Quite sure he's grown a lot from that.
Two nice guys who obviously don't have any animosity toward each other. 10 rounds in the books. And we'll wait to see if this time the judges saw it more or less the way we did. We're 0 for 2 coming in.
2 weeks in a row.
Yep. In round 10, Shannon Briggs only threw 23 punches, landing 5. It wasn't enough to produce any real aggressive effort against a Jameel McCline who already seemed in control. And there you see Harold Letterman's final scorecard for the fight, 97-92 McCline. Judges here, Tommy Kazmarek from New Jersey, Julie Letterman of New York, daughter of, and Harold, if she disagrees with you by 8 or 9 points, have a family discussion. Steve Weisfeld of New York is the third judge. Weisfeld was one of the 3 scorers in Briggs's controversial, quote, win, unquote, over George Foreman back in 1997, but he had the fight even that night, which was the closest thing to an intelligible scorecard. Michael Buffer has the verdict. Let's find out what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Madison Square Garden, we go to the Budweiser scorecards, and all 3 judges have the same tally. Tommy Kazmarek, Julie Letterman, and Steve Weisfeld scored the bout 99-90. All for the winner by unanimous decision, Jameel Big Time McCline.
Well, that ought to restore a little bit of our confidence in our ability to call them as we see them, so to speak. As Jameel McCline gets the expected unanimous decision over Shannon Briggs. Final CompuBox numbers will show you that McCline was considerably more active, landing 83 more punches, throwing 103 more punches. Neither guy exactly burned down the house with energy, but McCline throwing close to 40 punches around and landing 40% of them for a significant edge over Briggs in CompuBox numbers. And Jameel McCline has already demonstrated in his last couple of fights that he's going to be very dependent on his long, stiff jab. He landed 98 out of 282 tonight, and particularly down the stretch of the fight, was able to do what he wanted with Briggs behind the jab. The continued progress of Jameel Big Time McCline toward a potential heavyweight title shot somewhere down the road. Here's Larry Merchant with Jameel.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Jameel. First few rounds, he looked like a much more formidable opponent than most of us imagined. Was he punching harder than you had anticipated? What made him a puzzle to be solved at that stage of the fight?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to my mother at home. Hi, Mom. And I understand I got some new fans out in Oregon, the Lorenz family. I want to say hello to them also. And Outcast and Everlast, I want to thank them too. But to answer your question, it took me a few rounds to figure him out because he's got good power. He came out and showed very, very good power. So I couldn't just jump on him the way I wanted to. I had to be a little tactical in my attack.
Did you feel off of his past performances that if you just stayed there long enough that eventually you would be able to assert yourself because he does tend to tire as a fight goes on?
Well, no, that wasn't my thought. My thought was to come in the best shape possible. That way I can continue no matter what he does or any other fighter does in the world.
All right, let's take a look at the knockout if we can bring that up.
The knockdown.
The knockdown. Thank you for correcting me. Tell us what was going on.
Actually, you know, when he went down, I was a little surprised because I didn't think it was a flush shot. But looking at it here on tape, it looks like I caught him pretty good on the chin.
He was talking to you in those middle rounds, maybe trying to talk to you out of the fight. What was he saying to you?
He was saying to me that that he was better than me, and I think he is a very, very good fighter, but better than me, no. As a matter of fact, seconds before the knockdown, that's what he was saying. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you. And then, lo and behold, a split second later, I caught him. In the name of Jesus.
You sure did. What do you see in the future? Do you think you're ready to take on the top heavyweights, or do you feel that you still are on a learning curve?
Well, I'm always going to be on a learning curve, but nevertheless, I am willing and able and capable to take on the best athletes in the world.
So you're going to be lobbying your management team to get you somebody in the nature of who?
I'm gonna lobby my management team to get me someone in the nature of the best in the world, Larry. That's what I want to do. I want to fight the best in the world, and I want to be the best in the world. In order to be the best, I feel I have to beat the best.
Thank you very much. Again, congratulations, Jameel. And finally, this about the scoring of fights. You know, if you watch sports like gymnastics or diving or figure skating, there are 8 judges who come up with 6 different scores. So it isn't always easy, and there can be differences of opinion when 3 judges and all of the rest of us are watching 2 guys trying to do their best. In addition to that, we have the star syndrome in boxing as well as other sports. The star in basketball is allowed to take an extra step, perhaps. The star in baseball gets the benefit of the doubt on close pitches. Nevertheless, Manuel Medina came into this fight tonight fearful that Johnny Tapia would get too much benefit of the doubt because he's the star. And Medina was right. For us, it was like going to the crap table and thinking you had thrown a 7, and the dealer tells you no, you threw a 12. Jim?
All right. That's another way of looking at it. In figure skating, the favorite is sometimes the winner before they start, but that's another story. Emmanuel, you were so impressed with Jameel McCline after his defeat of Lance Whitaker 5 months ago that you said he was ready to fight some of the best in the world right now. Are you still as impressed with him after tonight's performance?
Yes, I'm still very impressed with him. You know, Shannon Briggs is a very treacherous guy to fight, and as Jameel said, he was very lurid because Shannon rolls his punches, even the punches that we were getting excited about in the knockdown. Shannon was rolling the effects of them all, and he's always tricky, but he was able to jab his way through the fight. But I think that McCline learned from the fight. He's grown, and he's on his way to becoming a very good fighter. And when you look at the other pitch and compare him with what's up there, he's right there.
But, and this is an odd question to ask about a guy who's a 264-pound athlete, is there a deficiency in punching power?
Yes, I think so. He throws his punches, sometimes it's like he's rushing in, punching like almost like a better grade of a top amateur who's really trying to get the punch, and he's rushing his punches very quick. And I think once he settles down and learns to pivot all of the body weight around, he'll be a much better puncher in terms of a heavyweight, particularly big as he is. But that would come with experience. When you consider everything else, the one amateur fight, and it's a phenomenal career that he's amassed in the last couple of years.
He's unbeaten over the last 6 years. His amateur career essentially took place as a sparring partner. He never succumbed to the sparring partner mentality, despite all those rounds with Lennox Lewis in camp. Quite a story. Jameel McCline. Let's see if he someday becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. We'll have a final word on what happened here in boxing in just a moment. Right now, let's look ahead to some upcoming programs on HBO.
On the Record with Bob Costas, the type of intelligent and creative program that Costas was born to do.
Why, thank you.
Big names.
The best roster on television.
Bold questions.
Do you think wrestling contributes? You don't even know what I'm going to ask you.
Oh, yeah, I do.
To the incivility and coarseness out there in the culture now.
Maybe so.